Hello and welcome to this week's nutrition class on prioritizing protein. As we learned last week, protein is one of the top 3 macronutrients that we need in order to be our healthiest selves. Proteins are crucial for all our metabolic processes, and we are always breaking down and building up proteins through a process called protein synthesis. So we need to be constantly having protein in our diet and putting it into our body because certain proteins we cannot make ourselves. So we need to be having a constant supply of those. And just like we talked about last week, there's no best diet. There's also no single best protein. So what you really want to be doing is diversifying your protein intake and just making sure that you are getting enough of it, and it doesn't necessarily matter the source. As we know, I don't get real into the science. I don't deep dive into that stuff because I just don't think it's that important for the normal person who's just trying to live a healthy life. But proteins are made up of amino acids, which, if we think about them, are like the Legos that our kids play with. They are building blocks that can be built up in different ways depending on the type of amino acid and protein they are creating. We have 3 general categories of amino acids: the non-essential amino acids, essential amino acids, and conditionally essential amino acids. Protein serves a number of functions in our body, so many that I can't even list them all on the PowerPoint slides, or we would be here forever. So these are kind of the highlights. It builds muscle, hair, nails, skin, and other tissues in our body. It is involved in our direct energy production, so it's super important for maintaining our energy levels and being active and keeping our activity level high, especially if we are physically active. It repairs our tissues when we're injured. It carries fats, vitamins, and minerals to different parts of our body. It's important for muscle contraction, which again goes to our activity levels, and those of us who are fitness people, is really important for our performance and making sure we are performing safely and effectively. And finally, it serves a structural role for every part of our body. Again, it's going to depend what part of the body, what structural role it's playing is going to depend on the amino acid composition of the proteins. So non-essential amino acids are just amino acids that we can make within our own bodies. So we don't necessarily have to be as worried about consuming them. So if you're looking at protein content, amino acid content in your foods, these are the ones that our bodies make ourselves. So we don't need to be quite as concerned with adding those into our diet. Essential amino acids are amino acids that we need to get from food or supplements because we cannot make those by ourselves. And here is a list of what those are. Those include branched chain amino acids, which if you spend any time around a gym, you've probably heard people talking about BCAAs. Those are the 3 BCAAs that people are talking about. And the reason those are important is because those play a role in increasing muscle growth. So those are really the ones that we want if we are trying to build muscle, improve athletic performance, or anything like that. We are really going to be looking at those branched chain amino acids. But they are not perfect for everybody. Although we need to be getting some, we do not need to overdo them if we are looking to lose weight instead of gain muscle. And finally, the third type of amino acid is the conditionally essential amino acids. These are amino acids that we can make within our bodies and make them ourselves, but not always as effectively as we would want to, especially if our bodies are under any kind of stress, which we will learn includes chronic stress, emotional, physical, any kind of stress that's just too much for your body. You are going to want to make sure that you are getting enough of these 4 conditionally essential amino acids. So sources of dietary protein: chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, milk, lentils, lean beef, fish, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, nuts, and nut butters. These are going to be your best sources, your quickest sources, and the easiest to find regardless of your location, because there's many sources of protein, but some are just not readily available to everybody at the local grocery store. But these are. So these are great ones, and they're super easy too. If you're looking for snack options, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt are great options to add more protein to your diet. Another way you can add in more protein, some of us struggle with this, right, is egg whites. Just add egg whites to everything, and then you'll be in great shape. With regard to the seeds, nuts, and nut butters, you just want to watch those for portion control, because those also are high sources of fat, which, as we learned, we're looking for a thumb of fat per serving. That's a serving of fat, right? So we want to make sure that we are not overdoing our fats. And in terms of our servings for dietary protein, again, it's our palm size is 1 serving. So keep in mind that also, that is not probably a typical serving that you are eating now or eating from if you're eating out at all. So you want to make sure that you're tracking your protein and making sure that you are getting enough but not overdoing it. Ideally, we are keeping our protein sources as diverse as possible. As we said in the beginning, just like there's no best diet, there's no best protein. So you can get protein from all kinds of different plant and animal life. This is a puffin. They're actually a really good source of protein, but you can't really find them down at Raley's. Elk and wild game animals, same thing. They're pretty good sources of protein if you have them available to you. Here in Nevada, we have lots of people who like to go out and shoot animals and then consume them. So there's probably a decent chance you can get your hands on some venison or elk. And then, of course, the plant-based proteins. We want to make sure we are keeping a wide variety of proteins in our diet, not just eating chicken and eggs, because we will burn ourselves out. How much protein do we need is the key question. Our protein needs are going to be determined by different things, but mostly determined by our age, our body weight, our activity level, and then we also could add in what our goals are. As I mentioned before, we can, if we're focusing on increasing our protein intake to build muscle, that you're going to want more of it than if you're looking at trying to lose weight. So all of those things are going to factor in to how much protein you actually need in a day. Keep in mind 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So you have to do a little bit of math to figure out how much protein you're actually consuming in terms of your energy intake, right? So you want a good portion of that to be from protein. You each should have your individual plans and macro breakdown that's going to tell you what percentage you're looking at in terms of those overall calorie intake that you want to be getting from protein. And then the best way to figure it out is grams of protein per pound of body weight. This is kind of a general guide. If you are low to moderate activity, you can get by with about 0.5 gram of protein per pound of body fat. Endurance training, you're going to want more, up to 0.6 to 0.8, or even up to 1, a 1-to-1 ratio. That will get you definitely the most protein that you need, and that you will work with in a way that's the most productive for you. Strength and weight training is the same. Again, you can go up to, if you're a woman, about 1 gram per pound of body fat. Men can go a little bit higher. But again, we don't want to overdo our protein. We tend to kind of want to do that sometimes, but that's not necessary. We just need to keep it coming in a regular basis, but not completely overdo it. It can be hard on your stomach, hard on your body to process if you are getting way too much protein. So because protein can be hard to get from natural foods sometimes, depending on our dietary preferences and what we like to eat or not eat, we are going to often look to protein powders and protein shakes as a supplement. So how to choose the best protein powders? Again, it's going to depend on your goals. If you are looking at building muscle, you're going to want a whey protein or a whey protein isolate. These are from animals, so keep that in mind if you are a plant-based person. These have high biological values, which you can find on the labels. And what that means is it's going to measure how well your body is going to absorb that protein. So if you're building muscle, that's the route you want to go. If you are trying to lose weight, you want to look very, very carefully at your label on your protein or your protein powder, whatever it is of choice there. And what you really want to look at is the added sugar, added sweeteners, added fillers, artificial flavors, artificial colors, protein powders. There's a lot of them out there, and some of them taste better than others. And it's safe to say that the ones that taste better than others taste better because they have put artificial sugars, flavoring, coloring, and sweeteners into them to make them taste more yummy than not yummy. So if your goal is weight loss, you really want to be paying attention to that. And if you are trying to lose weight, no BCAAs. You don't need to be putting any more of those into your body through your protein powders because those are going to encourage muscle growth, which is going to weigh more instead of helping you to lose weight. So just watch the BCAA content on any protein powders that you're looking at if you are trying to lose weight. And then, of course, if you are vegan or plant-based, you want to look for the plant-based protein powders, which are pea proteins, rice proteins, and those are going to have higher fiber. So you may want to, even if you're looking at the other two goals, if you struggle to get enough fiber in your diet, vegan protein powders are a good way to get kind of two birds with one stone there. Finally, we're going to want to look at the labels too, in addition to looking at it for sweeteners, sugars, fillers, and the artificial flavors and colorings. We want to look and see if they're third-party certified. So the FDA doesn't do anything in terms of regulating proteins. So you're kind of just rolling the dice out there with what you're getting. But there are companies that will third-party certify them as safe to eat, as being made in a way that is humane if it's coming from an animal, or processed in a way that is healthy. So you want to look for sure for third-party certified proteins. And here again, just in this slide is a basic protein foods shopping list that you can get from your regular grocery store. As I mentioned, there's lots of sources of protein, but some of them are not readily available to all of us here in American grocery stores. So these are the ones that you can find really easily and will be probably the best to work on adding into your diet. And that is it for your protein basics and why you should be prioritizing your protein. Email me, text me, call me, or ask me to coffee for any questions. And next up is going to be carbohydrates next week, and along with our reading for stress management. All right, thank you so much.